Home isn't just a place, it's a feeling. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, ADT helps keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance, so you can feel at home, wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling. ADT, home, safe home.
We roll into the final hour on
Yes,
this
we
Friday,
do.
which means your weekend's about to start.
Yes.
You excited?
It is. I'm actually driving to Boston today, me and the wife.
Yeah.
Jake and Jenny, my son Jake and his wife Jenny, who own those Orange Theory Fitnesses in Boston. They're building their second one. Their first one, the year anniversary party, is tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
So we're partying at the studio.
So as we continue here on Mike and Mike, Golic and Wingo, however you want to look at it, on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. If you're going to celebrate a year of a fitness facility and you want to have a party,
yes.
How do you celebrate correctly in a fitness cupcakes?
Yeah.
So to continue the idea of working out after you eat the cupcakes?
What we've done is the party is going to be in the afternoon there, and in the morning they're running a bunch of workouts where you're going to work your butt off, sweat a lot, and then
eat.
We're going to celebrate. We did go mini cupcakes, though.
That's against every fiber of your being.
But you know what? You never feel as guilty.
Yeah.
You know what? You can eat 10 of them and you think, well, they're mini cupcakes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
mini donuts?
It's kind of like slamming through the entire, low-cal ice cream bin.
The Halo top?
Yeah, exactly. That is good stuff.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
Well, see, but that's like, they're tiny sliders.
Oh, I know.
I'll just have 30.
That's exactly right. It's all mental, right?
They're very small wings.
It's all
Give
mental.
me 74.
There you go. Just like golf, it's all mental.
That's exactly right, which makes it the best sport in the world.
Whatever.
We've been having this debate all day long thanks to a list done by the Daily Mail in the UK.
Yep.
The 30 most boring games in the world. They polled 2,000 people. Diving was number 30th, and number 1, as in the top boring game in the world, according to this poll, was golf. Golic and I have completely different opinions on this subject. We've been asking you guys to weigh in on Twitter. Do you think golf is boring, or do you think golf is not boring?
Right.
Hashtag Team Golic, hashtag Team Trey. And by the way, we'll give out bobbleheads.
Yes, we will.
Best responses, we think,
for each one.
For this for the entire day. And we've had some good ones come in.
we have.
For example, Randy Steiner says, golf is amazing. Each course, each shot is a different challenge. Your strategy changes by what 125 other people are doing. Hashtag Team Trey.
Whatever. I like this. This one's actually on your side, but for more of my reason, okay?
So I win?
No, well, you'll win this one.
Okay.
You just gave, this guy gave the strategy of golf.
Strategery.
Who cares? Chris tweeted, never played, but driving around hitting a ball while drinking sounds like a good time to me.
There it is.
All right. You know what?
There
I can go with that. And I'm not going to lie. While I said it's boring to watch, I do like playing the way I play when I go to these, charity tournaments.
Yeah.
And
you're not really playing. You're using the excuse of a stick in your hand to put a beverage in the other hand.
So we had Tirico on yesterday to talk about the President's Cup, which is going on. My first question to him is, where are the beer holes?
And his response was, the 19th?
Yeah.
Is that what he said? By the way, to that point, one of the greatest athlete lines in the history of the world came out of a golf event. It was the Ryder Cup, not this past time, but the last time. Jamie Donaldson, a Welshman, sank the winning putt for the European team to win the Ryder Cup. They caught up with him the next morning. He was wearing a hoodie, and he looked like he had been up all night because, well, he'd
been up all night.
Been up all night. And they asked him in this proper British accent, has it sunk into you yet that you hit the winning putt to win the Open or win the Ryder Cup? And he said, nope. Because I'm still drunk.
There you go. That's it. Well, by the way, I love the Ryder Cup.
Oh, it's the greatest single sporting event there is. Because
love the Ryder Cup.
You have millionaires playing for nothing but pride.
Not going that far,
international pride. It's the best.
Whatever.
It's the best.
Okay.
But the greatest quote ever. Did you realize what you did? Nope, because I'm still drunk.
Love it. It's honesty.
It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. Jamie Donaldson.
I love the honesty.
Love that.
Wow.
All right, we continue here on the show, and there was a Thursday night football game last night, and the Packers won, and they kind of lost here.
They did. There's a couple of things to look at. We'll take it from the Packers side first. They're the team that a lot of people think may be able to do something this year, but they're certainly doing it almost with a hand tied behind their back. But you have Aaron Rodgers, so that helps a lot. Both your offensive tackles, David Bakhtiari and Brian Bulaga, were out again. The 3 backup tackles they've gone through already are on IR. So they're really hurting there. Mike Daniels, one of the best interior D linemen in the game, is still missing time. Ty Montgomery, the wide receiver turned running back, still running back, hurt his ribs in the beginning of the game. So now he's on the shelf a bit. And then Devontae Adams, in what went on last night, one of the really controversial things that went on, caught a pass, and the play wasn't over. It was kind of being held up. And Danny Trevathan, a really good linebacker, I think, from the Chicago Bears.
Leading tackler for the Broncos when they won the Super Bowl.
Came and absolutely cleaned him up in a hit that was commonplace when I played. I mean, the whistle didn't blow. You played at the end of the whistle, and you got a non-moving target that you can just destroy. And that's what we did. You took advantage of that. But in the game today where we're trying to get the helmet and leading with the head out of the game, Trevathan led with his helmet. And he ended up catching Adams right in the head. You saw the mouthpiece come flying out. They thought there was a fumble as well, so the Bears thought they had the ball. There was obviously some arguing back and forth because the Packers weren't happy. Their guy was, unfortunately laying on the ground, so there was some words back and forth there. So I think Trevathan is going to get fined, and I think he's going to get suspended because this is what they're trying to get out when they've started really going toward no more leading with your head, no more launching and taking this out of the game. While in no way, shape, or form do I think Danny Trevathan is a dirty player. I think he's a really good linebacker. I think this was a situation where what he did is what they're trying to get out of the game. He lowered his head, and he led with his helmet. Had he done it with his shoulder pad and still wrapped up, it would be a different story. He got flagged on the play. And in the NFL today, if the if the official thinks it's egregious enough, they can actually throw you out of the game. The official in this case said, I didn't have enough information to make that call and throw him out of the game. He said, I didn't.
We actually have the sound from him.
Okay, all right.
So listen, we saw it in slow motion a bunch of times, and it looked brutal. But it was a bang play, and he's gonna get fined. He's probably gonna get suspended.
Probably is.
This is what Danny Trevathan said after the game about the hit on Adams.
I regret, just the level I hit him at. I could have been a little bit better, but you got to understand, I was in a momentum, and I was just trying to make a play. Nothing intentionally, it happens in this game. Hopefully they see that, it wasn't intentionally just trying to make a play.
You brace for suspension after something like that?
We'll see, but other than that, I don't think it should be a suspension, but never know, I'm just going to send a prayer out. My main concern is that he's okay, so.
And just so people understand, Trevathan has never been suspended before in his career. This is his 6th season. And, a lot of people are looking at the hit that Vontaze Burfict hit, which was away from the ball and just leveled a running back coming out of the backfield. And he got 3 games, but the difference there is the scroll length history that Vontaze has, as opposed to Danny Trevathan.
Quickly finishing on the referee, he said after the game that he didn't see enough in that play with the limited time of seeing it in full speed to throw him out of the game. And they can't replay it in the NFL. It's not like college where you can replay a targeting call. They can't go to the film, so he didn't throw him out. And from Trevathan, listen, he's saying I was making a play, and I get it. This is how players have been tackling, and this is what we're trying to change. Okay, yes. And it's still going to take time because this is how these guys have tackled all through their football careers. And that's something that's trying to change and hopefully will change from the youth league to heads up to making it all the way to the NFL because, let's be honest, every youth league you see, that's where your next NFL players are coming from. So if they're taught better technique there, hopefully the next generation coming through will be better. He's tackling how they tackle, and they're trying to get it out of the game. So this has nothing to do with Danny Trevathan, a dirty player. I don't think he is. He's tackling the way they have tackled. They're trying to get it out of the game. It's going to take losing some money and losing some games in these situations to really make these guys aware we need to change the way we approach this hit.
There's 2 things that you said that were really spot on and brilliant. Number one was the idea that if this is ever going to change, it's not going to change with guys who are already in the league or even in college. It's going to change with coaches at that level that you're talking about, understanding this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And we've seen that change. The ridiculous bull in the ring drill, which makes no sense whatsoever.
Agreed.
That's been
a lot of dumb toughness rules that need to go away.
That's exactly right.
Football.
That's how this trickles up. You hear trickle down economics. This is a trickle up theory that has to happen. And one other thing, I think it's important to point out that when you say this was how you did it, Trevathan was not saying, I'm going to go in there and lead with my helmet and hit him in the helmet.
No.
That's not what he was trying to do. He went in with his helmet low, and he needs to fix that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Adams was falling
The level
down.
of the receiver changes or by being tackled, or sometimes they'll lower their head, and that's something I've talked about a lot.
Which is impossible.
It is, and the NFL always says it's on the defender. But in this case, when you drop your head and lead with your helmet,
yeah,
that's something they're trying to get at. So I that's something that it's tough to defend at this point. They're just trying to change, and it's going to take players a while. Players have already stopped launching as much, so I do think that has helped. They're not just launching with their head down. That used to happen all the time. That's backing out of the game, and it is a good thing. So I do think that he will get fined. I do think he'll probably get suspended. I think they're going to have to send a message and say, listen, we know he's not a dirty player. We know he was just trying to make a play, but we really want to try and get this aspect out of the game.
All right, look, so we'll see what happens with him. We've talked a lot already on this show about whether or not it's the time to start Mitchell Trubisky now that they have a mini-bye. It's a home game against the Vikings. If, by the way, that happens, he would be the first rookie quarterback to start on Monday night since Sean King of the Bucs did it against all teams, the Minnesota Vikings. So there would be a little symmetry there.
Yep.
And we've talked a lot about that. However, we haven't talked a lot about the Packers yet.
Right.
Look, they were pretty impressive in a game in which, as we've alluded to, they were beat up. They had major tackle issues. Mm-hmm. You lost Ty Montgomery with the ribs. We don't know what's going on with Devontae Adams, how long he may be out after that hit. Do we believe at this point, seeing what we saw from Green Bay, that they might be the best team in the NFC? Is there a best team in the NFC?
Well, here's what you say. We have Aaron Rodgers and you don't.
Correct.
And, right now, Jordy Nelson, a couple weeks ago, he had the quad. You thought, they don't need, that's a 1-2 punch like no other, and throwing obviously Cobb as well. But what Rodgers and Jordy have, and last night, 2 times he was wide open. So
invisibility cloak.
The Bears a little bit on that one. So you start to look at the NFC. You look toward the undefeated, that's the Atlanta Falcons, but you look toward the fact that they were 2 dropped passes by the Bears from losing in Week 1 and a somewhat controversial ending against Detroit in a possible loss there. But they won the games. They have firepower on offense, and Julio Jones, he's a little nicked up, and you wonder, where that's going to go. So do you give it to them because they're undefeated? Do you look at Green Bay because you have Aaron Rodgers, even though Matt Ryan was your MVP and deserved it last year? But all the injuries in Green Bay, there's a MASH unit every year, and man, the Packers, it's just brutal.
They had it last year a little bit at the end of the season, going into those playoff games. The Falcons are undefeated, and I think they have the best team speed on defense.
Yes,
but
I agree with that.
You could make the argument they should have lost, or could not should have.
That's what I said.
They could have lost Week 1, and they probably should have lost to the Lions last week. So I'm not sure we've seen a dominant team.
So what's the better team in there? Where are we going in the NFC? Start to look at.
I don't think you can look at anybody in the NFC West at this point. Seattle's offensive line. Troubles are massive. Do we really are we all in on the Rams at this point? The NFC East is interesting, okay?
Yeah.
Washington appears very balanced.
Yes, they do.
But Philadelphia went on the road and beat them Week 1, and that is a huge caveat in their corner down the stretch to have potential tiebreakers.
One of the things I'm looking forward to is the Monday nighter of Kansas City and Washington.
Without question.
Because Kansas City,
we know. I think they're legit.
Is the best team in the AFC right now. Would you hand it to them?
I think they would. They went up to New England and handed it to them.
And then the way the Raiders got manhandled in New England, you have Tom Brady. That defense is a little suspect in New England. And I know the Kansas City defense lost Eric Berry, but I would lean toward, I have no problem going to Kansas City. But you certainly have a couple of contenders in Oakland. Yep. Pittsburgh, they lost in overtime. We know that. And certainly in New England. The NFC, it is a little harder to grab that team. So I think you have to give it to Atlanta. Even though they had those couple of situations where they could have lost, they're still undefeated. Yeah. So I think you have to lean toward them.
And then, we don't know what Dallas is yet. They've had 2 dominant defensive performances.
Yeah, they have.
And then a huge lapse against the Denver Broncos.
Right.
By the way, the best game of the day may be the Raiders at the Broncos. I know it's early. That's a pivotal game when you have a team that's undefeated.
Sure, and because a lot of teams are thinking you can get 3 teams out of that division in the playoffs.
All right, let's do the 5-point stage. You want to?
Yes.
Right now on Mike and Mike. Let's go. It's time for the 5-Point Stance.
All right, 5-Point Stance brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO, and let's get it going with what we were just talking about. Falcons and Chiefs are the league's remaining unbeaten teams. The fewest 3-0 teams since 1987, which, by the way, was the last strike year in the NFL.
Yes, I know that.
You were there.
Yes, I was.
If they were both to lose this week, it would be just the fourth season in the Super Bowl era where there were no 4-0 teams. The other years were 2014, 2010, and 1970. So do we see potentially both these teams?
I don't see both of
week?
them losing. They're both at home. So I don't think I see either one losing this week. But I don't see either team going undefeated either. No. So we're eventually the 72 Dolphins will be able to pop the champagne probably sooner rather than later, depending on how far these teams go undefeated. But I like them both right now, and I think I would have to put them both at the top of their conferences as we speak, as we're one game away from finishing just the first quarter of the season.
But again, you break it down into those
yes,
four quarters and say, let's do this here, this segment, let's do this, that segment. All right, speaking of the Chiefs, we move on. Rookie Kareem Hunt has 538 scrimmage yards this season, with 208 scrimmage yards Monday, which would be a lot. He would pass Billy Sims of the Lions in 1980 for the most through a player's first 4 games. He has 295 rushing yards and 408 scrimmage yards in the second half, would lead the NFL overall.
Love what he's doing, and of course, this is a surprise, right? Third rounder isn't supposed to come in and do this out of Toledo. Obviously, Andy Reid and the coaching staff thought enough of the guy started out the season, so you have enough confidence of what he can do. But still, he surpassed that by what he's doing. He gets that late long run that would help anybody that he's on the fantasy team of to give him a plus 50-yard play in the first 3 weeks. What he's doing running the ball and, again, catching the ball out of the backfield. That's the running back of today without question. He has been really, really fun to watch. And you know they already have some weapons. Alex Smith had been throwing it better. The defense had been excellent even though they lost Eric Berry. So I'm looking forward to this matchup with Washington. Washington has shut down receivers.
Yep.
Now it's Tyreek Hill they're trying to shut down here. They have given up some catches and yards to tight ends. You have Travis Kelce, who outside of the nicked-up Rob Gronkowski, Kelsey's the best tight end in the league. So I'm really, really looking forward to this matchup.
Yeah, and Hunt, by the way, also was the first player in NFL history to have 3 touchdowns of any kind, at least 50 yards or longer through his first 3 games.
Yep.
I mean, he's a big play waiting to happen.
There you go.
I hate the board.
Yeah, I know.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. Let's talk about the Chargers. Oy. Thank you for that sound effect. Chargers are one of 5 teams who are 0-3. Out of the 157 teams to start a season 0-4 in the Super Bowl era, only one made the playoffs. That would be the 92 Chargers,
It would
by
be
the
the
way.
Chargers.
Started 0-4, went 11-5.
I don't think it's going to be them this time around. I do think 3 can get out of the West, but they're the 4th, and I think they're the odd team out, although it would be the even team with 4, so they wouldn't be the odd team. Thank you very much. I don't think they pull that off this year. And you know, we know the teams. We look at the teams that haven't won a game. That probably would the most surprising to you be the Giants?
Yes.
A lot of people thought they were going to win the division, and Greeny still says he holds out hope that they can turn it around. I don't see that hope.
Well,
I like their defense. I do. They haven't been great. I think they can even do better. All of a sudden, a running game is not going to appear, and can you live on Odell Beckham alone? So we'll see.
All right, we move on. Tom Brady 1 win away from tying Brett Favre and Peyton Manning for the most regular season wins by a starting quarterback in NFL history with 186. Brady already has the most wins, including playoffs, of any starting quarterback all time with 210. I don't like this stat at all because I don't think that team wins is a quarterback stat.
I agree with you.
I mean, I like the idea of fourth quarter or overtime game-winning drives. I think that's a legitimate stat to put in someone's category. And Tom now is one of 5 with at least 40 in his career. He had his 41st on Sunday. But teams win games. Teams win championships. I mean, how do you feel about this? I mean, everybody else participated in the victory.
Listen, this is just like when you attach Super Bowls to a quarterback and make that their career. I mean, too much is put on them in the good, and too much, quite honestly, is put on them in the bad. But it's the most important position on the field, so that's why it happens. I love my stat better about Tom Brady. Tom Brady is on pace for 5,800 passing yards, 42 touchdowns, and no interceptions.
That would be good.
That'd be really good.
That would top
for those that think he's a little too old to play the game now.
Well, it is interesting because there were some people that sort of intimated that week one. Can we pump the brakes?
Oh, I'd
just
say.
A little bit.
I'd say.
Don't we know who this guy is?
He said he needed
know who he plays for.
He got himself, after week one, a little extra pistachio ice cream, and he's good to go.
Avocado ice cream.
I'm sorry, avocado. You're right.
Yeah, pistachio ice cream is really a thing. Avocado ice cream sounds awful.
Sounds horrific.
Pistachio I like. Much more than this board.
Horrible.
The worst. By the way, the Rams are in Dallas Sunday at 1 Eastern. Todd Gurley and Ezekiel Elliott rank first and second, respectively, in the highest percentage of a team's touches this season. Gurley at 52.1 and Zeke at 48.6.
Love what they're doing with Gurley. Had to do it. Again, Gurley at Georgia, part of the offense wasn't really throwing him the ball, and early on in his career, they weren't doing it in the Rams. Changed coaching staff, quarterback playing better, changed system. Now Todd Gurley is catching the ball out of the backfield a little more, and that is huge. Getting this guy in open space, he is very, very difficult to bring down. That O-line has been revamped a little bit as well, and they're doing, the defense. I like the defense, certainly with Aaron Donald, the best interior lineman in the game. So they have been a fun team to watch, and Gurley is finally, I think, getting into what I think he can be in this NFL of a running back and a back that's a mismatch out of the backfield.
And Zeke really needs to get going. I mean, he got a little bit going in the last game, but he was stuffed in week 2, so we'll see if Zeke can finally get back in that offensive line to Dallas being what they were a year ago. Okay, that was the 5-point stance. Now, look, we're having this debate all day, and we're reaching out to you guys on Twitter, this list of the 30 most boring games in the world by these awful 2,000 British people. They've Brexited their senses. Golf came in at number 1. You agree. I completely disagree.
Right.
But I think I found the reason why you agree. Can we go to the monitors for those of you that are watching on ESPN2, and I'll explain it to you on ESPN Radio.
Okay.
There is a picture that was sent to me by my friend Alex, by the way, who is Phil Mickelson's pilot.
Oh, okay.
And he's all in on this. He sent this picture of you trying to do something on a range somewhere, and I don't know what you're looking at. You're not looking at the ball. You're not looking at the club. What are you looking at there? By the way, flag, you're playing in jeans. So right away, flag, right there, playing in jeans.
I think that was indoors somewhere at a charity event. It was like chipping.
But look at your wrists. They're all bent the wrong way.
Dude. Anytime I have a golf club in my hand hitting a golf ball, there's usually a 80% chance I'm drunk.
Well, that's the only explanation for those wrists.
All right.
That is the only explanation.
That's the fun of the game.
That.
If all of a sudden they outlawed drinking on a golf course, I would try and have the sport done away with for good.
Yeah, just that. I understand because the struggle is real for you.
Listen, dude, anytime you want to go on the golf course, I get my strokes because my handicap is way worse than yours.
Awful. Yeah.
Okay? Let's go. Well, and you know what? I will talk smack. I bring Greeny to his knees because he can't handle it.
He's weak mentally. No. I don't care.
He is weak mentally, but you know what? In your love of golf, I will take you down.
No, you won't. By the way, I was playing golf with a couple of people the other day. You drove by the golf course and just jumped on the course in your workout sweats and bladed an 8-iron about 30 yards.
I did.
You did. That was it.
Have you invited me to golf yet?
No. But we're doing that big thing with you and us. We're going to do the whole thing with the limo and all that
maybe
kind of stuff.
I get a few more invites out of you to go.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually.
Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling that you're safe to enjoy the things that matter most. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, we help keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance. So you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling for less than $1 a day. ADT. Home. Safe home.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million. What color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
We roll on. We're on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line, like our next guest, Super Bowl champion winning head coach and analyst for the NFL Network. Brian Billick is here with us. And, Brian, we're talking a lot about what we saw in the Thursday night game. First of all, with how the Packers are dealing with injuries. But I guess from a Bears perspective, they got a mini break now before a home game on Monday night against the Vikings. If you were John Fox, would you think about maybe making the move to Mitchell Trubisky?
Yeah, why not? I mean, what are you waiting for? I'd have started the season with Trubisky. Every snap that he takes, remembering now how much they gave up to move up to that first spot, so they obviously believe this guy's the real deal. Every snap he takes is going to make the Bears that much better in 2018. Now, that may not be as important to John Fox now as it is then, but why not play the guy? I think they've only been waiting to see, okay, can we put him in? Can we reasonably protect him? Can we get the running game cranked up, play okay on defense, not throw him to the wolves? We don't want him to be David Carr in his rookie year and giving up 76 sacks. I think they've shown that they're good enough to do that. Why not play Trubisky?
Hey, Brian, hold on one second. The phone connection went bad there with us, so we're going to have to repatch you in. Apologize for that, but there was a lot of distortion. We couldn't quite
and he said what we had been talking about, and certainly we wanted to ask him because he's a coach and could be in a situation like that, is it is more about Trubisky if you're going to put him on the field. You have to believe, again, not that he's ready to go star, but that, A, you can protect him. And I think getting Kyle Long back in the lineup, Sitton had some ribs, he's back in the lineup, getting that offensive line at least what you wanted your starting five to be and not having backups in there can help along the way. And then can your quarterback make the calls that he needs to make before a play? Do you feel that he can diagnose a play at least relatively good enough to get through a play? Again, not expecting great things, but can he keep himself out of harm's way?
Right.
That's what we don't know. Only John Fox and the staff know that, but I have a feeling that we're pretty close to that, if not there already.
And people need to understand what you're saying is really important. Okay, remember when Peyton Manning was struggling through his last year, 9 touchdown passes, 17 interceptions? I had people in Denver tell me at least we knew that he was going to get us in the right formation and the right chance to succeed, whether we did it or not, and that's a big part of it. All right, I think we got it cleared up, and Brian is back with us. Brian, we good? We're good now, right? You can still hear us?
Absolutely. We're always good.
Perfect. Okay. Obviously, there's a lot of talk, Brian, about that hit by Danny Trevathan, and there's that new rule in place that a player can get suspended for that. Do you think this is something the NFL will come down pretty hard on?
Well, those, and I'm trying to be as objective as I can. The league never wants to legislate or fine or officiate intent, and that's the hard thing here. So many of these hits that happen in real time. How many times have we seen these helmets where the player it looks like it was going to be legal hit, and then they crumple down? It's tough on a defender, and he said, he certainly wasn't targeting. Yeah, the league's got to look at it case by case, but I tend to be one that unless it's absolutely blatant with a launch, a dipping of the head specifically, it's tough for me because I think the officials, for one, and these defensive players are in a tough position to play this game the way it needs to be played, but by the same token, not take it overboard.
Hey, Brian, we appreciate we're having the same issues with the phone. I apologize. It's not on you. It's just something on the connection. We appreciate you being with us, and we'll make sure that people know that you'll be back next week. It's just a bad connection there. By the way, he was brought to us by SeatGeek.
Yes.
Enter promo code Billick for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. So that was Brian with us with the NFL Network. Apologies for all the way around. Sometimes it happens.
Tough connection, but so we really covered obviously the Trubisky. And I don't think it. I will be interested to hear throughout the day. You doing NFL Live today?
No, I'm not.
I only watch if you're the host.
Thank you. Well, I only listen. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
No, Bubba's doing the show.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
then I'll definitely listen. But I'll be interested to hear what others think about is it time for Trubisky. You heard Coach Billick say that he would have started him at the beginning of the season. Yeah. Again, that's only based on if you think he can handle the situation out there. I'll be interested for those on the side that say, no, I wouldn't start him yet. Let him sit more. Because I'm sure then the answer would be for what, unless you know something we don't know, like the coaches don't think he's ready. So that's going to be the interesting. That is going to be the interesting question today, along with that hit by Danny Trevathan, a guy nobody thinks is a
never been
player
suspended
at all. Thinks is a really good linebacker, but these are the kind of leading with your head hits that you want to get out of the game. But the guys with the ball, they change levels occasionally, so it ends up being helmet to helmet, but. That it's a tough call, but something they want out of the game, and I understand leading at the helmet, you want it out of the game. So where the NFL will take this one.
Well, the thing about Trubisky is really interesting. If you just go back to last year, okay, it was Goff, Wentz 1 and 2, and then Dak, of course, was taken in the third round. Dak starts right away and plays very well. Carson Wentz went 3-0 in his first 3 starts, and Jared Goff sat on the bench. I don't think he got into week 8 or 9 last year, and then Rams head coach Jeff Fisher kept saying, he's not ready. We don't want to rush him. We don't want to rush him. And then when they finally got him out there, he clearly wasn't ready.
Right.
And this year, he's a different guy.
Different guy.
Part of that is a different coaching staff, I believe.
Yes.
But I also think it's part because he's had time to sort of assimilate and stew and just marinate all this stuff that's coming at him. And, to what Brian's point was, and other people have said, you really do have to sort of respect what the coaching staff in Chicago was saying, because they have a lot more access
without question
than any of us. And you don't want to David Carr this guy. You don't want to have what happened to Jared Goff last year happen to this guy. And Jared Goff is a completely different quarterback this year. Some of that is coaching, but I also believe some of that is because they did hold him out for a while until he thought they was ready for all that stuff.
Yeah, listen, I agree with you, and I'll continue to say it's what we don't know. It's not just on the practice field. It's in the meeting rooms and everywhere else in the facility if you think he is going to be ready. So we'll see what they make if they make that transition. But the Bears aren't going to be – we're not going to be talking about them at the end of the season. We may be talking about how Mitchell Trubisky
– we may not be talking about them past week 8.
I agree. The Green Bay Packers, we will. This is a team – you just see the talent, and as a Packer player and or a fan, you just have to hold your breath when you see another player down. And I don't mean Devontae Adams. That was a horrible situation.
You mean all the injuries?
I mean all the injuries they've had, from their tackles to their running backs to the Mike Daniels and a defensive tackle. I mean, one after another on guys that really are going to do a lot to shape this team. You always say you have Aaron Rodgers, but man, I mean, at some point you just become too thin. We're not even a quarter away through the season. Guys that are getting nicked up right now are never going to be 100% for the season. You start that vicious cycle of always breaking your body down, and then when you get hurt, it breaks down even more, and you try and bring it back as much as you can. So we're not even a quarter of the way in to know what this effect on some of these guys are going to be in week 12, 13, and 14.
Well, it's like the old saying, are you hurt or are you injured? Because everybody's going to be hurt this season. But you can play through a hurt, but you can't play through an injury.
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
And you wonder if any of those guys that sat last night could have played, but the thought was, you know what, let's give them off this game and then
especially
another 10 days,
game,
and then let's come out of the gate on the other side.
Was there ever one team that you played on that had these injuries like this during your 9-year career that you just kept saying, really, again?
As far as the injuries, well, you could go to Washington in the body bag game. There was a lot that game.
Yeah, that was you inflicting on the other team,
though.
Exactly. So you didn't have a problem with that.
I didn't mean that. I'm sorry about that.
You meant it completely.
Well, maybe a little.
No, maybe a lot.
But there is a team every year where you just, listen, the worst one, it wasn't a lot, but it was the one, my 1 year with the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. We had the best record in all of football at one point. And Dan Marino was in the pocket with nobody around him in Cleveland.
So it's your fault.
Oh, yeah, my fault.
You brought him to Cleveland.
All of a sudden, he went down with a ruptured Achilles, and we just went, no way. That was the same feeling I had. Was it 91? When Randall got hurt against Green Bay, Bryce Pop hit him, blew his knee out. Yep. We really thought that was our year. With offensive firepower, the defense we had, a lot of years of really being good. We thought, man, this is year. Game 1. Yeah. Randall's laying there with a blown out knee. We're going, wait a minute, you got to be kidding me. And here I am in Miami, best record in the league, and there's Dan Marino who falls down in the pocket in Cleveland because his Achilles gets blown out.
And I believe Brad Gable out of Baylor was the quarterback that came in.
He was one of them.
He was the first one that
that was in Philly.
Yes, in Philly.
In Miami, it was Scott Mitchell, who then got the $5 million signing bonus to sign with the Detroit.
The problem with Scott Mitchell got 2 of those contracts.
Yes, he did.
The problem. All right, coming up, you're going to get ready to beat down the Nerds?
I am. I won last week, going for 2 in a row.
Congratulations. It's called a winning streak. All right, we continue on in the final hour of Golic and Wingo this morning. Obviously something that has dominated the sports landscape since last Friday when President Trump used some very poignant words to talk about some of the NFL players that were protesting the national anthem. Well, ESPN and Global Strategy conducted an online survey from September 26th to September 28th to gauge how the country feels about the variety of issues regarding the NFL player protest. And here are the overall things. Okay. Right? 78% of Americans are paying close attention to the story. But as you might expect, This is divided by race lines almost down the line. 51% said they either somewhat or strongly disapprove of the player protest. 39% approve. By race, 72% of African Americans responded either somewhat or strongly approving, while 62% of whites either somewhat or strongly disapproved.
Right.
So what are we learning?
I'm not sure
Yeah.
what we're learning. It is divided by race, I think, but I think we all kind of knew that. But, it gives some interesting numbers. This is what you do in a situation like this. When people are divided, is you ask a lot of them and you say, what divided you? What brought you to this? And this is what we get out of the survey. So you have the ability to check this survey out and all the different things that go along with it and see where you fall on this.
Yeah. Asked about the media's focus on covering the player protest. 55% felt there was too much coverage. 29% said it was about right. 6% there was too little. So for the 55%, we're going to leave it right there.
There you go.
You can check it out on ESPN.com.
There you go. Check it out on ESPN.com. You can see all the results of that. So, all right, a couple of things to do. First, I have to
pick against the Nerds.
I have to pick against the Nerds. I'm 1-2 against our Football Power Index, or the NPI, the Nerd Power Index, as I like to call them. I am going against a team that the Nerds give a 63.4% chance of winning at home, and that would be the Minnesota Vikings. Case Keenum, nice week last week. Can he continue to do that? Sam Bradford out. They're hosting the Detroit Lions, who I like.
I like Lions
a lot. How they're running the ball.
Speed at home, though, on defense for the Falcons.
For the Vikings, they are at home. So I am going Detroit over Minnesota, who the Nerds pick. They pick Minnesota. I go Detroit. I'm trying to go 2 in a row on them.
All right, so that's you for your winning streak against the Nerds. We'll see if that plays out. We got to give out some bobbleheads.
Yes, we do.
Do you have your winner for your side of the battle on whether golf is boring or not?
Because my name is on this, the Mike and Mike, and my name is on the next show as well, Golic and Wingo. I'm giving away 2.
Okay.
All right, because I'm allowed to do that.
You can do whatever you want.
Golf is the most boring sport, a boring game out there, according to 2,000 people in the UK. I agree with that, and people who agree with me. Ryan gets a bobblehead. He said, golf puts my girlfriend to sleep, and I don't have to talk about my feelings.
Yeah, that's a winner for me, too.
Best sport ever.
So it covers both of us. We all agree he gets
a bobblehead.
It does
kind of cover both
sides.
Gets
a bobblehead.
And then I'm going to go a guy definitely on my side, James. I just read it. Golf is basically human fetch. The golfer should get a treat every time they find their ball. I love that one.
I think finding my ball is a treat.
Yeah,
so
I'm with you.
Now, I'm going to go with this one as my winner.
Okay.
Tiger Woods win the major on a broken leg with a torn ACL. This is DJ Clo Dog 47.
Mm-hmm.
Any British soccer player would fall down with an air quote injury if they knew an alligator was on the golf course.
Oh, so you like it because they ripped the soccer player as well,
Exactly,
huh?
exactly. So they promote Tiger's toughness, and they also talk about, I've hurt myself, I can't get up. Throw some of that Magic World Cup soccer water on them, and all their
or that
the
cold spray, or bring out the yellow card. I did my job. Okay, I'm up.
And then they get off on the stretcher and they sprint to the sidelines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to go pick bobbleheads now? Do we have time?
Sure. I don't think we have time.
We have 40 seconds. Can you do them in 40 seconds? All right, this is Golic showing he's still ambulatory.
I'm going to pick your winner.
Yeah.
Here, they can have this.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's not even a bobblehead.
I don't know what it is.
It's a Lego thing.
I know it is, but that's what you get.
Is it Mega Man?
I don't know.
Cloud Dog 47 gets Mega Man. And your winner gets?
Cane Freak.
Cane Freak? And, well, which one? Does Ryan get Cane Freak? Because that was kind of a freaky answer.
And then we'll give this guy, I don't even know what it is, but it's the 14th hole.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where your round usually ends in defeat, the 14th hole.
Well,
hey-oh!
It doesn't end for that reason.
Hey-oh! Separate reason entirely.
Maybe you'll invite me sometime.
Maybe. And maybe if you only come to my side on this argument. Hey, what are you doing the rest of the day?
I got places to go, people to see, things to do that don't include you.
I'm going to go play golf.
Oh,
thanks for listening.
God.